Yeah, Emma, hi. I'm sorry. I stepped away to try to get dressed and all. I'm online now. Yeah, I was going to say, send it with that email I just sent because I didn't go into Zoom, and I'm sure it's the same link. I updated it, but just to avoid any snafus, I would resend it right now with the email I just sent you. Copy and paste that in it, just to make, unless everything looks the same to you. Okay, yeah, that works. So I'm online now. I was about to ask Erica if she could. Now, did you get my email about the video? All right, and in there I had the JPEG. I was trying like heck. I know I can do it. I just so rushed for time to try and enlarge those two sections so they'll be more visible in the meeting. I don't know if, and you may be able to do that without enlarging them. It's two JPEGs of the same thing that's in the PDF, except I wanted the highlighted sections. The only part of the report I want to bring to their attention is number one, it's two different officers' reports, but it's also that there's two different narratives and the narratives don't match the surveillance. I mean, they don't match cell phone footage. This shows a bias in that. I want to remember though to compliment the one officer because he was very courteous. But yet when he wrote his report, there's a problem. There's something wrong with the report.
Okay.
Anyway, you good? I'm online by myself.
I'm just doing one thing and then I'll hop on.
I got you, dear. Thank you. And we're gonna talk about the March when we get done with this. Thanks. Bye.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi, good afternoon, ma'am. Marguerite.
This is Marguerite.
Hi, my name is Jennifer, and I'm calling from the ADA office. I was returning a call. I got a
Please. Chief, hold on, people. Hold on. I'm sorry. I'm trying to see here on the screen. Are you saying that you're working double? You are also working with the American Disabilities as well?
I work for Angrily County, and I work out of the Department of Aging and Disabilities, but I oversee the ADA office, the Americans with Disabilities Act office for Angrily County.
Yes, I do. I do need to talk with you. Just a moment. Chief Awad? Hi, we're waiting for others to join us and I'm going to mute you just for a second. I'm going to mute myself for a moment, ma'am. Is that okay? No, I'm talking to someone on Zoom. Oh, she's not talking to me either. Hi, Emma. I thought I saw Emma coming in.
Yeah, hi.
Hey, I see that Chief Awad myself, but then you can hear me. And I guess and everyone can hear me. Yeah, so how much time do we have?
7 minutes. I actually have to run really quickly and then I'll be right back.
All right, but we're okay with video and
Yeah.
okay, cool. All right, let me ask find out where Erica is.
Reverend Morris, can you hear us?
I can hear you now. Can you hear me? Good afternoon. We're waiting for others to join us.
Actually, Reverend Marguerite, sorry, I just wanted to clarify. I can't share my screen yet. If you just enable me to share screen, then we'll be fine.
Oh, okay. Let me make sure we do.
Looks good, it's coming up. Oh, is it?
Um,
All right, I'll do it. Do you wanna put us on? mute
Multiple
while we're-
participants share screen. Okay, and I'm not trying to share mine now. Let me close mine out.
It should be in advanced settings.
You should be, it says multiple participants can share simultaneously. Is that what you need, or you need me to go into advanced settings?
No, please go into advanced settings.
Advanced sharing options?
Yes.
Okay,
And then it should just say enable, or it should say something like who can share screen, and it'll be host only or all participants. You want to hit all participants.
hold on. It's not, it's grayed out. It's the thing, how many participants can share at the same time? Let me go back. Hold on. Let me go back for a second. Let me go back here. Go back to advanced sharing. All participants. Who can share? Who can start sharing with someone else? It's when all participants. Is that what you wanted me to do?
No, there should be a separate option either right below or above it. That's
Okay. These are it says how many participants can share a screen at one time. And then it has multiple participants can share a screen, dual monitors recommended. But if I go to one participant can share at a time, who can share all participants? Tell me
Yes.
click on that, right?
that's
Okay.
yes, that one.
And then who can share is also, so it says,
It's fine now. I just needed the.
thank you. So glad. Okay.
All right, I'll be right back. Sorry.
You're welcome. Okay, Ms. Scott. Hi, Erica. Let me go to something else. View. Valerie. Hi, everyone. We are waiting for others to join us. Erica, we got the police already on the line, so we can't talk about them. I kept I'm just kidding. I'm telling you, I'm gonna get myself in trouble with that. We are just waiting for, thank you. We're just waiting we'll be starting at 3 o'clock. And so again, welcome and appreciate your patience as we prepare for our meeting. Thank you. If I hit mute, I can't talk to Erica. Erica, call me.
Did you need me? Sorry.
Yeah, well, let me just tell you, when we start the program, we talked about, let me go to that. You're going first,
After the introduction, yes.
and then you'll be coming back when again queued. We have,
Oh,
okay, so just, we're gonna go
Okay.
back to you after a video presentation on the, when we talk about the number of days for reports to become,
yes.
so we're gonna come back to you again on that point.
Okay.
And then Emma's gonna give the guidelines for time frames. And then,
For that one, right?
hold
Which
on.
is point 2. It was point 2.
Yeah, so we have point 1, you.
Yeah.
Point 2, myself, and then you.
Got you.
Point 3 will be me.
Mhm.
And then the closing point will come from Emma.
Got
Hey,
you.
Pastor John Watts, how are you?
Okay.
Now, I'm trying to watch the screen as people are coming in. Good afternoon, Pastor Watts. We're just kind of getting ready for our meeting. Hey, Reverend Tillette's going to join us as well. Got a couple minutes. Excuse me just for a moment.
Reverend Morris?
Yes.
Is this a closed meeting? Was I supposed to, because I got an email.
No, it's not a closed meeting. It's open to our partners.
Okay, okay.
You're
All right.
good. Okay. Emma, we're going to go ahead and get started. And good afternoon. There'll be others that'll join us as we progress through the meeting. We can say that we have present with us today. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Great. Thank you so much for being here today. We have present with us several of the cast partners, including Emma Buckman, Community Associate John Watts. We'll expect others to be joining us, and Erica Scott. We're going to start with Emma, who will talk to us about the dynamics. And again, thank you all for being here. Hold on, we have someone coming in. And we are just getting started. And we now have with us Linda Davis.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, and Miss Emma Buckman, you may go ahead and proceed.
Sure. Thanks, Reverend Marguerite, and thank you everyone for being here today and making the time. It's so important for us to have meetings together. So I just wanted to go over briefly what we were going to discuss today, what our agenda was. This is, as you know, a follow-up from when we had a discussion with Interim Chief Lowry back in, I believe, September or October. And there were a few things we discussed with them that we just wanted to get updates on. That included a systems update in the automated recording system, a citizens report review, and the internal affairs form. And then after that, we have a little bit like of an ask for the end too. So with that, I'll turn it over to Erica Scott because she has the first point.
I'm sorry, before we start, Miss Emma, did you talk about the time, the order of which they were going to respond, or the time frames we were working within?
No, I'm sorry. So we were hoping, just so that we can keep everything on track, because there's a lot of important things to discuss, we were going to hopefully discuss each thing for about 5 to 7 minutes. And then following that, towards the end, we're hoping to have a little bit of time for any discussion and comments between either group. We were also just wondering, we wanted to very respectfully ask if we could wait until the end for Chief Awad to give any comments, just so that we can make sure that community voices are heard, and if there are any officers that have any views that or questions, comments, concerns, like we welcome that feedback from them. So Does that cover about everything, Reverend Morris?
Right, and hopefully everyone understands what we're asking is that we want to have dialogue with you officers. We're very respectfully follow up, as Emma has said, and we're allowing 5 to 7 minutes for that. But we would like to allow time at the end of the meeting for Chief Awad to respond with her comments as to what she's observed from both of us discussing this. I'm going to allow time, and I know we have to go back to Emma, but we've had several individuals join us if they would like to introduce themselves, or at least we'd like to acknowledge their presence here today. And also to yield to the police department too, if you'd like to also talk to us about who's here with you today, and forgive us for our oversight in doing that as we allow a few minutes for the participants to introduce themselves. Thank you. We can start with those that have joined us since we started.
Good afternoon. I'm Stephen Tillett. I am pastor of Asbury Broadneck United Methodist Church in Annapolis, in the Broadneck Peninsula, clergy co-chair for ACT and Arundel Connecting Together.
Thank you. And I see Linda.
Yes, hello. This is Linda Davis, member of Community Actively Seeking Transparency and other groups. Thank you.
And I see Renee.
Hi, this is Renee Cantor. I'm a member of Connecting the Dots and a supporter of CAST.
Thank you. I see Pastor John Watts.
Hello, I am Pastor John Watts. I'm senior pastor of Kingdom Life Church Apostolic, 504 Annabelle Avenue in the wonderful city of Baltimore. I am a member of the United Black Clergy and the 100 Black Men, and and I am a great supporter of my dear friend and sister and the wonderful association CAST, and I'm here for support.
Thank you, sir. And I see Steve. Waddy.
Hello, Stephen Waddy, Political Action Chair for NAACP.
Thank you. And I see, as I said, we have Miss Erica.
Hi, I'm Erica Scott with CAST.
And we have Emma.
Sorry, I should have made that clear. My name is Emma, and I'm the Deputy Director of March on Maryland, also a member of CAST and a proud supporter of CAST.
Thank you all so much. And our wonderful officers, would you like to introduce yourselves as well?
So I'll go first. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello to everyone. My name is Amal Awad. I'm your new Chief of Police. And to my
Thank you.
left, immediate right,
Major Ross Passman.
Major Michelle Simpson.
Hi, Deputy Chief Bill Lowry. And Deputy Chief Gerard Fleming.
Thank
And
you.
you may see us take our masks off. We've all been vaccinated, so.
Thank you.
We're still wearing them, but you may see us remove them this week.
Thank you. And we see Captain up in the corner there.
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. Captain Rodriguez, Commander of the Western District. I appreciate Reverend Morris sending me an invite late today to get on. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to hop off around 3:30 due to a previous commitment, but I do want to be part of the discussion. I appreciate her sending me the invite, and I'm sure that she'll get back in touch with me with any asks that she has. So thank you.
Thank you very much. We have a timekeeper today. We're going to go back to Mrs. Erica Scott to start us out. And again, the order that we're trying to do is to allow 5 to 7 minutes we have 3 points we want to talk about today as follow-up. And so there's going to be basically 4 sessions, and then we'd like to close out with Chief Awad at the end. And we do welcome the officers exchange, but we're leaving our wonderful chief for last. And with that, we go to Erica Scott, which will lead us out. Thank you all very much for your patience.
Thank you, Reverend Morris. What I'd like to start out with is kind of following up where we left off last year around October 2020. We spoke about your automated reporting system, which you all indicated to us, which is the police reporting system. It is our understanding, based on the communication from your office, that the officers can enter free text such as name and narratives and other fields. However, the other fields are ruled by code tables. It's our understanding that those code tables that are controlled by the report type field contains parameters that are automatically populated. They automatically populate the modus operandi, and I could be saying that incorrectly, but please correct me, classifications, which has shown to be somewhat of an issue for our citizens and police reporting, as well as other discretionary narratives that have been placed within the police reports themselves. So my first question is, because this was brought up in our last meeting, which I truly appreciate, as well as Reverend Morris and cast members and other organizations, I'd like to get a response on the status that has been made to update the system to where it's not automatically populating the modus operandi, because that has become an issue in a number of the reports, the previous reports that have been written, as well as narratives.
So I'm not familiar with what you're speaking. Is this something that you said you discussed last meeting? Can you tell me or tell us with whom this came up?
Yes. Also, which I was glad to hear, I think we had William Lowry there. Is that correct?
Yes, the deputy chief is here.
Yes. So Deputy Chief Lowry, you presented myself with some information on the automated reporting system, the police reporting system, and I'm kind of pulling from that letter that was sent. And I just wanted to get an update on from our last meeting on whether or not some changes had been implemented and or discussed in reference to updating that system based on our last conversations that we've had.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon. I think the question came up was, how could a citizen dispute information that's in a police report? And I think we responded back that we, the police department, have implemented a process that directs officers that if a person disagrees with information in what's called a frozen report, that the individual can write a statement in a form provided by the officer. The statement will be reviewed and made a part of the file. So I don't know if that answers your question or not, but that's a new process that we've put in place.
Okay, before you respond, Erica, hold it, because hold your thought for a second. Our point here today is to follow up on prior conversations, and that's why we wanted to make sure that you all were aware, so that we're all traveling on the same page with information and our ability to work jointly as community with police and citizens to make policy improvements that don't require a CRB. So we are following up from that meeting and those things that were discussed to be inclusive of our new chief. And so I hope we're not confusing people. We'll try to explain as best we can. But Erica Scott, go ahead, please.
I was going to say thank you, Deputy Lowry. Your point actually references another one of our agenda bullet points. So I would definitely hold off on that one. But in reference to this particular inquiry and issue, it is dealing with the automated populated modus operandi, which is, to our knowledge, you all only have a certain parameter to work within when you're choosing the types of issues that are going on with a particular incident. And to my knowledge, you guys were going to be working on looking into the system to see how those things could be adjusted within the system so that the officer is not put into supposedly a box in choosing a modus operandi that does not fit for that particular incident, which could lead to inaccuracies in the report as well.
And I want to add that if you're not prepared to respond, it's okay, because we just want to we want to follow up and have the discussions. And that's the reason we wanted to make sure we stayed on point as organizations and agencies to make sure we continue the conversation. So if you're not right there where you can fully respond, we'll take that up at the next meeting, but we want everyone, including our chief of police, to know where we started the conversations. So we can take a couple more minutes on this point.
So my ask in the future is, if we're gonna bring up subjects for follow-up, just give us reminders as to what it is, bulleted points as to what it is we're following up on, so we are prepared for the meeting.
I think, Ms. Scott, maybe perhaps we're talking about the Mark 43 report management system that the department's implementing. That's a project that we've been working on now for over a year. There's a lot of data integration that goes with that, and that will give the officer a greater amount of flexibility about the reporting writing system. We expect right now that what's called the Mark 43, that will be up probably around the latter part of August of this year. We've got the body-worn camera program that's kind of taken a priority perspective from our IT projects. But I believe that's probably what you're talking about is a Mark 43. But I'll make sure that I'll get back with you on that question. If we can get those questions, that'll help us respond back appropriately to you and in a timely manner.
Okay.
Understandable, Deputy Lowry. And if you could just, are you saying MARC? Is that an acronym? Because I use acronyms. Yeah. I wanted to make sure I understood.
No, ma'am. That's the actual name of the product, MARC, like in the Bible, Matthew, Mark, and then 43. That's the name of the project.
Okay.
And so we're going to go, thank you all very much. We're going to go to our next point. And our goal here, yes, thank you very much. And our goal here today is not, now we don't want you to feel uncomfortable, but we feel that as citizens working with you and us working together as community, we need to touch base on these things and make sure that we're moving forward. And we wanted our police chief here, and I did send you a text because I knew it was Chief Awad, because I knew it was so important that you be aware of the conversations and that people be updating you with what the conversations have been like, so you know what our expectations and hopes are for as a community. So respectfully, that's why we're doing this, and we're looking forward to moving forward with this. So we're going to move from that point into going back to Emma, and we were going to show you a video. And again, this is because of the we're leading into our next part of this. We'll go to Emma Buckman at this time. And we want to say welcome to, I see that Randy Williams has joined us as well. President Jackie Alsop has joined us. Phil has joined us with Cass and Miss Tracy Garrett. Thank you to all, and forgive us if we didn't call you out, your name out. So Emma, and we ask you all to please focus on this video, and it is a video of a pertaining to an incident with our police department. Emma, can you go for it? You better let his daddy know. Go ahead, just please take a picture of him. Look at him, please let me take a picture of him.
Let's go outside. No, you're under arrest. Situation.
Well, he's taking pictures of me and I can't take pictures.
Yeah, you're under arrest. You want to go to jail?
Can you let your other managers know that this happened over nothing? Because I'm never rude to anybody.
Let's go.
And for you to be recording this is so wrong. Because you filed a false police report and you're going to pay dearly for it.
You're under arrest. Let's go.
You're going to pay dearly for it. This is so horrible. Now, Emma, if you would please show the police reports on that incident. Now, we're leading into our second point, and Erica's going to come back and she's going to talk about that. Our second point was talking about potential bias in reporting. And there were 2 police reports written about this incident. And Emma, are you there? Are you showing the second part? Because I'm still seeing the video on the screen.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, let's show the reports. And I
am sorry, I'm showing them. I always get the.
That's okay. And I'm sorry if I happen to be a poster child today, but there were 2 things I want to emphasize in this. Number one, One officer was absolutely wonderful. So we're not trying to say that they weren't, but there were 2 police reports written about what you saw. And if we can go back to the video, if you didn't catch it, the incident that happened. So one officer writes the following, and in the highlighted area, he says, while she was paying, she took out her phone and was filming the staff on the other side of the counter. She was raising her voice with them and began causing another disturbance. I took possession of her phone and picked up one of her bags to help her out of the restaurant with her property. Emma, let's go to the second section on that. That's one officer's report about the same incident. Then another officer writes about the exact same incident. It says, as we were walking out, we had to walk out past Mr. Mohibi, who was standing near the front door. Morris stopped and attempted to instigate an argument with Mohibi and tried to take out her phone to take pictures of him. We advised her that she was under arrest and something, I can't read what it says. It says she continued to try to use her phone. So Officer Baldwin told her she wasn't allowed to use her phone while in custody and took it from her. Now, our point that we're about to enter into is that that's not what happened in the video. And we can play it again, but it's not what happened. 2 officers wrote 2 different reports about one incident, and they don't say actually what happened. It's not, the reports are contradicting themselves. The reports are not giving what we think is a clear narrative of what happened. And the reports seem to be written from some sort of bias. So again, this is about us taking these types of things, working together as community and having fruitful discussions about what Cass has presented about the points that Eric is going to make about allowing citizens to view reports before they become a permanent public record of an incident. And with that, Ms. Erica, can you fill us in on that? We welcome your feedback as well on this.
Okay, so just piggybacking off of Reverend Morris, going to the index code 2200 of what it looks like. Here's the Anne Arundel County Police Department index code 2200 reporting requirements. Section 4, where it says report review by field supervisors. Currently, it says first line supervisors will ensure that reports are accurately and correctly completed prior to conclusion. That's just a blurb. And then as we move forward, letter B says supervisors are responsible for quality of reports. We move further to E, which states police reports will not be disseminated to the public or involved parties by officers. But if we move back up, and please forgive me, it also says that all approved handwritten police reports, including toe slips, will be written. Reports that are not completed and or approved by the end of the tour shall be submitted no later than 3 working days following. In these particular points that we are pointing out, it doesn't allow the citizens the opportunity. In the example that Reverend Morris brought up, she didn't have an opportunity, as well as other citizens, to review what it is was being written about her and the incident, which is implying a bias, because you're not able to really, you're not able to complete Section 4A, which is ensure reports are accurately and correctly completed prior to the conclusion of them, without really getting an understanding as to what happened from the community member as well as the officer, not undermining the officer, but being able to really, really get an opportunity to see what really happened, get a big picture of what happened. And so what we're asking, and what we did ask in the last meeting, was to work collectively together, which Deputy Lowry, I'm glad you brought it up earlier, about citizens being able to write a statement and that be part of the file. But we also mentioned prior to that, having an opportunity prior to those, you giving that prior to the frozen report, we getting the opportunity to write our conclusions and our observations of what happened prior to the frozen report. Because what's happening is the frozen report, as we all know, it's still record. It still can be pulled from any other agency, used in any other form of court order, court trial, everything you want to name, they can use it. So the discretion is up to, once again, an official to either say, I'm going to go with the frozen report or I'm going to go with the statement on file. And it really does not hold any weight in those particular situations, other than allowing the citizen to really give their point of view in the incidents that are happening, not to undermine the police officer, but to give an equal opportunity for that supervisor to effectively complete number 4 under Index Code 2200. Reverend?
Yes. And again, we're not trying to please, we don't want to offend you all. We're trying to start and have community conversation. One of the reasons I wanted Captain Rodriguez here was because I've gone to him, he knows that. And he's been wonderful. And I'll be like, can we have a meeting about something? And then with previous administrations, it's been shut down. It's been told we have to take another order. So it's made, kind of made some of us look like we're the enemy, and we're not. We're trying to have important community conversations. And when we presented this before, we talked about, we know that you all write thousands of reports. So it's not logical to think that every report you're going to go get a citizen's to agree with it. But we talked about coming up with certain categories of reports that would have that distinction of being something in your system that would be emailed out to the citizens, that a citizen perhaps would have a certain amount of time to respond before it became a matter of public record. This did not start, this is not about Reverend Morris. We've had this conversation many times with other persons in our community, including, and we're going to go to we're going to give you a chance to respond and move on to our next point. But Erica Scott has come with her story, Deontay, the little things that would mean to the importance of citizens in correcting reports. And that video was simply to show you all, and we'll gladly share it with you, that there is a problem with the reports that are written and what actually happens sometimes, okay? And with that, we'd like to allow a couple of minutes if you have a response before we go on to the next point in our presentation.
I just wanted to make one more point before the officer said anything. Right now, it states they must be submitted within 3 working days currently. And we wanted to discuss a reasonable, and if you guys thought it would be great meeting in the middle to discuss a reasonable time for the citizens to be able to render their views in their report as well prior to the frozen report being concluded on record. Over.
Okay. And again, if you don't have a response, it's fine. We're trying to open up dialogue for future conversations as well. Is that okay?
So, yes, ma'am. Reverend Morris, could I ask a question?
Of course.
Sorry.
So if I could hear from either you or Ms. Scott, so if an officer goes on the scene of any incident and he or she writes the report, is the request that the complainant or the person who called the police, is your request that you be allowed to look at the report before the report is submitted for supervisory review? Is that what I'm hearing?
It would be to come up with a system collectively, and perhaps it's an email with the emails, because we can do a lot of things with emails in our community, that in certain types of incidents, come up collectively with incidents that would refer to as a working with you all.
May I have
that
a single
citizens
scoop of black raspberry?
Miss Monica, you're on. We're hearing you.
Sorry about that.
That with certain reports, it be emailed out before it's labeled as permanent. That way, if the citizen does not respond, we know that you can go down to and get the reports, but a lot of citizens don't know to go down and get the report unless there's a problem. So with certain reports, we'd like to come up with a way that there's an automated thing that goes out, notification, that citizen has an opportunity to look at that report. If they don't respond in X amount of days, then it goes to permanent. Because what we were hearing, that is within 3 days, when that supervisor sees it, approves it, it's permanent, it's done. And then only when there is a problem and a citizen goes to complain, then they can stick a piece of paper in the file. We want to find a way that we can do something about that, because biased report writing does exist with some officers, and that is problematic in our community. That's where we're going with that. And again, if you're not comfortable responding, we can talk. There's things that we're trying to create the dialogue about for future conversations as well.
Sure, and I appreciate that, and it's not that it's uncomfortable. I think there are a couple of things for the members to kind of take into consideration. Number one, I think you've already talked about the types of reports, so that would have to be identified. Two, there are in the reports there's information that is privileged, that even the complainant, the person who made the complaint or who we're investigating the report for, there are times when information is in the report that has to be redacted, that we're not allowed to disseminate. And also, when officers write the report, the quicker that report, if it needs to have an investigation conducted, whether a criminal investigation, let's say someone's car was broken into, the quicker that report is routed through the system so the detective can get that report and get back in contact with the complainant. So those are just some of the things that I'm seeing right off the top of this discussion that may be significant issues. So it's good for the chief to hear what the concerns are, and I think that's why when we prefaced it, police officers, we're some of these folks. If we can see things in writing, if we know what the specific issues are, especially like for this meeting here, we may have been able to come to you with a more concrete, and that's not nobody's fault. That's just for a meeting like this, especially when the chief's involved. But those are some of the things that just right off the top of my head may be stumbling blocks in this. I'm not saying it's not doable, but could be potential stumbling blocks because, like you said, we write 1,000 reports a day. We do not currently have a system, and I think that's perhaps what Ms. Scott was talking about. We do not have a system in place right now, an IT system where whatever those reports are, that the body of the report would be sent back to the complainant so that they could see what the officer articulated in his or her report. And I think that's, if I'm hearing you correctly, that's what you'd like to review, is you tell an officer X, Y, and Z, you want to make sure that X, Y, and Z is in that body of the report. Is that truthful? Is that what I'm hearing?
That may be so. And what we're going to do, I'm going to comment back, and then we're going to move to our third point, because we want to, make sure we get everything in, and then allow Chief Awad to have some comments towards the end. We want to hear her feedback. And I know this is the reason we wanted to do this, because we want to make sure what we were talking about, she was brought up to speed on that. And then we go forward as community. So yes, the point in all of this though, is that these systems as they currently are in place are broken. And we have to find a way to fix some of those broken places. Now, you already have record of citizens that have said that's not the way something happened. So in some reports that impact lives, you got, we're not going to get into it. We got Erica, who found a report years later, cost her in a custody battle. You've got a mother out here somewhere that didn't like the color of the clothes her child was wearing and asked for a quick fix on that, and the report couldn't be corrected. And then today, one incident where a woman is walking out of a restaurant, one officer says she took out her phone and was filming people. And you go back and we'll gladly share that video with you. She isn't filming anybody. When she takes out her phone, the officer takes the phone, and two police officers write conflicting narratives of the same incident caught on video That is, neither one of them says what really happened in that. That's an example of why we as a community working with police have to come up with something that's going to work for citizens. We're going to go on to the next point, and I say to my colleagues, if you have questions and comments, we are going to find time in this for my colleagues that are on this call to also respond. So we want to go to our third point. We're right at the 3:33 mark, being respectful of the precious time that we have. And I think I'm the person that's up for that third point. So the third point, again, as in following up, and I'll get quickly through this, and I'm having a feeling you're not going to be prepared for this as well. So with that, we'll go to, we can go to comments from, we'll do it like this. We'll go to comments from our other colleagues that are on the line if they have any, and then we'll go to Chief Awad after we tackle this point. So our third point in follow-up is that we talked about internal affairs when people make complaints to internal affairs. At the time that we brought that issue before you all, it was, we realized that in the policies and procedures, there were 2 points we brought up, but I think Chief Lowry is familiar with these. One, that when a person makes a complaint, there wasn't a written form or record of that complaint done, and I'm kind of paraphrasing. Person walks in and make a complaint, they don't get anything back showing what they've complained about. And I believe that the solution that was given for the group was that they had created, your organization had now created a form that when persons come in and make a complaint, they're given a written form that talks about their complaint and the points on that. We wanted to ask today, has that actually happened? And what does that form look like? And if that hasn't actually happened, can we put that on our table for future discussions? Again, citizens walk in with a complaint, there was no record. And also part of the conversation, and don't quote me on this, was that this had never come up before. So we were bringing it up as to how we can start to address the complaint, the intake process for internal affairs. Also, citizens complained about when they would come to internal affairs with a complaint, they were getting callbacks from persons that weren't with internal affairs, and some citizens found that intimidating. And what was told to us, I believe, by the police department was that that practice would stop and persons would get callbacks from persons that were actually with internal affairs. So our ask today, number one, has that form been developed as was stated? And then number two, has that policy actually changed where persons are getting a call back from internal affairs and not persons outside of internal affairs that are intimidating citizens that are complaining about police issues? Thank you very much for your response.
Yes, ma'am. Reverend Morris is Deputy Chief Lowry, so I'll take it in reverse order. You're correct. Any response back to a person that makes a complaint to internal affairs, any communication is only by a member of internal affairs and nobody else in the police department. So that's already been implemented. That's in their policy. The issue about if a person registers a complaint with internal affairs, that they receive confirmation of the receipt within 72 hours, that's been implemented. And there's also a form called a citizen's complaint reception form. So if the complaint's made in person, they get a copy of that form and it articulates exactly what their complaint is to internal affairs. So they get a copy of that form before they leave also. And that's already been implemented also.
Well, that's certainly good news. Thank you. With
You're welcome.
that, yes, sir, thank you. We're going to open it up for our attendees if they have a brief 2-minute comment. And then I don't know whether to go with Chief Awad or well, when we go to Chief Awad, we're going to still stay on the time frame because we do have Emma with closing remarks that are going to be important to the meeting. So as long as we allow time for both of those, do any of my colleagues, and we've been joined by several, have comments or questions for today that we can keep within the time parameters?
I do.
Yes.
Yes. Chief Awad, I have a question for you. How long did you spend in Hyattsville Police Department before you retired or became chief in Anne Arundel County?
How long was I working for the city of Hyattsville? Is that your
Correct.
question?
Correct.
Just under 4 years.
Okay, because I did training there with Chief Holland back in 2006-7, was diversity and police ethics, and I didn't remember you, and that's the reason why. All right, but here's my question. I'm sorry, was you going to say something?
What year did you say that was?
Probably 2006-7.
Oh, okay. I was
Yeah,
still
I'm a
Prince
retired
George.
Baltimore County Police Sergeant, so I did training with Hyattsville before. Well, actually, I conducted the training there.
Yeah, I was still with Prince George's County in 2006 and 2000.
Okay, I got you. My question, and I see this in Annapolis, here in Howard County where I live, and when I talked to Chief Baltimore before he left the department, I found it was the same there, and it's in reference to the reporting issues. And maybe it changed since you've been there, so it's more of a question. When an officer writes a report, corporal, I believe you guys have corporals and sergeants, approve them, and is it archived into your In Pursuit or whatever database you use, or is it mandated that a lieutenant signs the report before it's archived?
Respond.
No, it's sergeants, our first line supervisors are sergeants, and the sergeants are the ones that approve the reports.
Okay. Again, I retired from Baltimore County Police, and I have a little trepidation with that, because they are first line supervisors, and I get that. Lieutenants are watch commanders, shift commanders, and I don't understand why they would not be responsible for finding out or knowing about everything that occurs on their shift before the report is archived. Just leadership 101, you could delegate authority, but not responsibility. If it's happening on your shift, one of the things supervisors don't like finding out is something that happened outside of their house that occurred inside their house. And if a lieutenant's not reading the report on their shifts, so when these incidents happen with traffic stops and so on and so forth, and the chief asks questions and it filters down to the lieutenant has to go to a subordinate to find out what's happening on his shift. And that doesn't make a lot of sense. The other thing that I found is that on Anne Arundel County is that 2 reports, meaning 2 actual different reports on the same incident number. And I'm not talking about a supplement written for the same incident. And I don't think that should be occurring as well. Right? So those are the 2 issues that I raised with reports, but more importantly is the lieutenant not signing reports. And again, Altamori confirmed that. Maybe you guys changed it, but you just told me you didn't. Annapolis has that, and I'm finding that on medium to smaller agencies where that's occurring. Because in Baltimore City, the largest agency in Maryland, lieutenants approve the reports. Baltimore County being the 2nd largest agency, lieutenants approve the reports before they're archived and in pursuit. Well, now Premier 1, because they changed the systems. So I'm not really understanding why lieutenants, and they're making 6 figures, why they're not responsible for their shifts, because that may cut down on a lot of this issues that are occurring with these reports, and they're not being concise and accurate. Just food for thought.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We're going to go to Pastor Watts. And again, we're going to keep it at 2 minutes because we do want to allow the chief time to respond. And we put, and we want to allow Emma with closing remarks. Thank you, Randy, for your comments. I saw Pastor Watts with his hand up, please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
2 minutes, 2 minutes.
All right, I could do it in 2 minutes. I do want to thank all Chief Awad and the staff, those who serve for Anne Arundel County Police Department. And so I do want to say to you that we do support our police officers. We don't support bad policing. So I want to say that to you openly. And so I am concerned from some of the information that I'm listening to, you not being informed. I'm not informed knowing that this particular room is loaded with people, concerned citizens and activists and people who want to better our community relationships with the police department. So what are you going to put in place that you'll be able to not just be informed by your officers, but also informed listening to your constituents and those power players that are in the community? That's my question.
we're gonna say this. We're gonna give her an opportunity to answer. So what I'm gonna do is once we get the comments from this, we're gonna go to Emma. Then we're gonna close with Chief Awad responding to everything that she's heard. So hold that. I think that that's a response she's gonna give us once she's heard what Emma has to say in closing. Any of my other colleagues at this time who also have a comment or a question or something for our chief and our police department? Okay.
Well, sorry, I did have a quick additional question. You mentioned earlier about that the installation of body worn cameras is the top priority for the IT department, but I did want to just do we have more of an update on when we can expect those to be fully operational and in use by the department?
Amen.
Yes,
Again,
ma'am.
okay, so as long as it's not Chief Awad, because I'm going to give her her own space. Go ahead, sir, please.
Sure. Right now, we're on target for an implementation into our Bureau of Patrol effective July 1. So it'll be a phased-in approach, but every police officer in the Anne Arundel County Police Department will have a body-worn camera assigned to them. But we're looking at starting that program July 1.
Awesome. Chief Awad, we're saving the best for last. We're going to get to you in just a moment, ma'am.
Well, wait, sorry, I had a follow-up. Sorry, I had a follow-up question to that, which was, and I'm sorry if this has been discussed and I'm just ignorant, but I wanted to check, do you have policies implemented, or are you planning on having policies implemented that would penalize officers that turn off their body-worn cameras when they aren't supposed to be?
Yep, there's policy on that.
Go ahead, Major.
Yes, the policy is covering that. In fact, our policy will be, we'll put that out for public review very soon. We're just finishing up the last commander's review of them, and that policy will go out for review.
Okay. Are there anyone else? I have one remark that I'm going to ask before Emma brings closing remarks and we yield to the chief.
Yes, I have one more.
Go ahead, please.
The officer just said they're putting it out for review. Where would one find that review?
That's going to go on its own link on our website.
Okay.
So that'll be very soon.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anyone else? I'm looking. Okay, now before Emma comes and then Chief Awad, we're right on time. We're at the 3:45 mark. I'm watching the clock, trying to be obedient. My question is going to be to her when she comes and talks to us. Maybe she can say something about where she stands, and she's probably heard this a million times, on the issue of civilian review board in Anne Arundel County. And we're going to go to Emma's closing remarks if there are no other comments from our persons that are on board. Bishop Antonio, we have President Jackie also with us as well. Okay. All right. So Emma, if you'll bring our closing, our ask from this conversation that we've had, and then we will come to our Chief of Police, Ms. Amal Awad. Thank you. Emma, please.
Well, yeah, thank you again for your listening and for your attention here and meeting with us. This is just we feel that this is an extremely important piece of accountability and transparency with law enforcement, is to be able to have consistent meetings with law enforcement, to be able to have the community's, I want to say desires, but it's more important than desires. Essentials are covered, and their basic and their security in their own counties covered. And so to that end, we wanted to request that we could make this a consistent thing. The last time that we met was like I mentioned, and like Erica mentioned, in October of last year. And right now, the county executive has a similar check-in with community leaders that they do quarterly. And we would like to make this a meeting between community and the Anne Arundel County Police Department a regular thing. We were hoping maybe semi-monthly, once every other month, so that we can follow up on these issues and make sure that there's continued accountability between community and the police department.
I'll reiterate that. Thank you very much, Emma. Thank you very much, everyone. Is that we're asking that every other month, on a particular day of the month, that we come together with the police department and sit down when we, and let's work through and continue this dialogue about policies that impact citizens, that don't require CRB, that can truly show that you all are working with us and we in turn working with you. And with that, we're going to go down to Chief Awad and ask her. I don't know. We'll go down to the police department and in this meeting. And thank you very much, everyone.
So thank you for inviting us to hear your concerns. One thing we are always willing to do is listen. We'll certainly take into consideration recommendations from any member of our community. However, a lot has been said today. And for me to keep track of things in advance, I ask when we meet and have a conversation that we have an agenda so that we are prepared to discuss your concerns and your talking points. I've seen a lot today, and it was a little, for me, overwhelming, being the new person in the room and not really having an historical context on where we've been, where we are, and where we intend to move as a community. So that will help me in these rooms. I know that we have a standing quarterly meeting with Cal. What I don't want to do is inundate us with meetings, and I'd like to come up with a reasonable time frame, and I'm thinking quarterly for all of us would probably work a lot better, because we're trying to navigate through many meetings in many rooms, and we're kind of bogging ourselves down with all of these. They're important meetings, don't take me wrong, but it gets to be a little inundating for all of our staff. And I think we have to remain cognizant that we still have one of the largest police departments in this state to manage. And with that said, I'll share with you our focus for this year. We've identified our 3 priorities, and we call them the 3 C's, and some of you have heard me speak to the 3 C's, the first being community policing. As a former community police officer, and once you are a community officer, you're always a community officer, but I do believe in building relationships, community engagement, connecting with folks. So I've asked for additional resources so that we can upstaff our community policing units.
Excuse me, ma'am. Chief Awad, excuse me, ma'am. Forgive me, but excuse me. I feel like I've been so dismissed. Community Actively Seeking Transparency comes to you with impacted citizens of our community. We are collectively voices, and we represent persons that have been impacted by police misconduct and those that have come alongside us, whether it's traffic stops, whether it's, Deontay, the comments, some of these people have been through a lot. So we understand that there are quarterly meetings with caucus and our constituents and our other leaders. But these are people that are impacted. So we want to believe that the fact that these are impacted people as well, that there be time, because this is what police reform is about. You cannot beat the hell out of somebody on a corner and then expect them to line up and say, okay, I love my police.
I'm sorry, has that occurred here in Anne Arundel County? Because I've not seen that.
Ma'am, respectfully, there are issues in Anne Arundel County. That's why we're trying to open up the dialogue. We're not living in a county that's perfect. And I'm going to hush up, but I've sat in meetings respectfully, and we've heard about, the things that you're about to share with us. And that's not disrespect. That's why we wanted to get here today to have the meeting. That's why we need follow-up. And it was not up to us to update you. Your police officers knew you were coming into this meeting, ma'am. And Chief Lowry should have updated you.
Excuse me, do not make assumptions about what this staff knew. Your text message to me was not very clear in terms of what it is that we were going to discuss here today. What I've seen here today does not reflect what I've seen in that text message, ma'am, respectfully.
No, ma'am, Chief,
I'm not going to go back and forth with you, ma'am. What I'm going to do.
No, I don't want to do that, ma'am. I don't want to.
Because I have a hard stop. We're not going to do this.
Chief Awad, please
Thank you
don't
for
do
your
that.
time. We'll
But
get
Chief
together
Awad, we don't want it to end this
another
way.
moment.
We
Not
don't want it
today,
to end
not
this.
like this.
No, ma'am, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, and I do not want it to end this way.
I'm
Please don't do
sorry.
that to
I've
us.
been totally blindsided here today, and I do
No,
not,
we
I do
didn't
not
want you,
appreciate that.
Chief Awad. We did not want you to be blindsided, ma'am. That was not our intent. Hear what Reverend
We
Morris
will
is
talk,
saying.
we will talk and allow calmer heads to prevail, but not
I'm
like
not
this.
upset. I'm not upset at ma'am. I'm not upset at all, and I apologize. See that you see that we didn't come to them like that way. We sent a message. We sent a message, and I sent a message that said the following.
Marguerite, Miss
No,
Reverend.
no, hold on a second. I'm gonna listen to you, but I'm gonna tell you the message I sent to her. The message was, have you been briefed?
One second.
By your persons. That was a text message that was sent to her last week because I wanted her to be prepared. So it was up to them to let her know what we had talked about. They were in the meetings with us before.
Reverend Moore.
Yes, go ahead, everybody. Wow, that's good.
In front of everybody.
I'm sorry, what's that?